The peaceful galaxy was a place where many species lived side by side, cooperating to keep the universe in balance. For years, Earth had been part of the Galactic Council, a group of advanced civilizations that helped protect each other from threats. Earth's people were quiet, humble, and often underestimated. They didn't have the power of some of the older civilizations, but they were smart, creative, and always ready to lend a hand when needed. Earth's role in the Council was that of a trusted ally, one that was always there when things got tough. But something changed. Something dark stirred in the hearts of the Galactic Council's leaders. Earth had always been loyal, always helped in times of need. But now, everything was different. Earth had no idea what was coming. In the dead of night, without warning, the Galactic Council turned their back on Earth. It all started with a single message, a message sent to Earth's leaders, informing them that the Council had decided to sever ties. The Earth government was shocked. They had always been allies, working together to keep the peace in the galaxy. The message didn't explain why. It just said that Earth was no longer part of the Galactic Council. The message ended with one chilling statement: "Your existence is no longer necessary." The Earth leaders were confused and scared. They thought it was a mistake. Surely, the Galactic Council wouldn't betray them like this. After all, Earth had fought beside them during the worst conflicts in history. But the message wasn't a mistake. It was a declaration of war. Soon after the message, the attacks came. Without warning, the Galactic Council launched a brutal surprise assault on Earth's defenses. Their advanced ships appeared out of nowhere, bombarding Earth's cities, military bases, and space stations. Earth's people had never seen anything like it. The technology of the Galactic Council was far superior to Earth's. Their ships were fast, their weapons powerful. Earth's defenses were overwhelmed. Within hours, much of Earth's military was destroyed, and millions of people lost their lives. But the betrayal didn't end with the attack. As the bombs fell, the Council used their power to cut off Earth's communication with other allied worlds. They isolated Earth, leaving it alone in the dark void of space. No one could reach Earth. No one could help. Earth was cut off from the rest of the galaxy. The people of Earth were stunned. How could this happen? How could the Galactic Council betray them like this? Earth had always been loyal to them. They had never done anything to deserve this. And yet, here they were, defenseless, abandoned, and alone. In the midst of the chaos, Earth's leaders scrambled to understand what was happening. Were the Galactic Council members simply following orders, or had they been corrupted by something darker? What was the reason for the sudden attack? As Earth's defenses began to fall, a small group of Earth's military commanders gathered in secret. They knew they had to do something. Earth was facing the end, but they refused to accept defeat. They knew their enemies were powerful, but they also knew Earth had one advantage the Council didn't count on: the will to survive. The people of Earth were survivors. They would fight back. One of the commanders, General Samuel Brooks, stood before the gathered officers, his face grim. The Galactic Council thought they could break us. They thought they could crush our will. But they made a mistake. We're not going down without a fight. We have something they don't: a reason to fight. Our people, our families, our home. We will make them regret this betrayal. With that, the military officers agreed to a dangerous plan. They would use every resource they had left to fight back. Earth's warships, though damaged, were not completely destroyed. They still had a few hidden weapons, ones that had never been used in combat before, weapons that had been kept secret for years. And the most important thing of all, Earth had something the Galactic Council didn't expect. They had the element of surprise. While the Council's forces celebrated their victory, believing Earth was helpless, General Brooks and his officers worked quickly to prepare Earth's last hope. They gathered every available warship, reactivated the hidden fleets, and sent word to the few remaining allies who still might help them. Earth wasn't done yet. It wasn't the end. Not yet. As the warships began to stir in the depths of Earth's spaceports, A quiet hum filled the air. The engines of the Earth warships, long dormant, roared to life. In a secret military base deep under the surface of the planet, General Brooks and his team watched as their fleet powered up. "Earth's time isn't over," Brooks said, his voice filled with determination. "We've been betrayed, but we'll show them why they made a mistake. We will make them regret every moment they thought they could break us." The first strike was coming. But the question remained, would Earth's warships be enough to stop the Galactic Council, or had the betrayal sealed Earth's fate forever? As the warships moved into position, a new hope began to rise in Earth's heart. Revenge was on the horizon. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth, and now they would feel the consequences. The battle for survival was just beginning. The people of Earth had barely begun to recover from the shock of the betrayal when the call to action was made. General Samuel Brooks and his team had made it clear Earth would not give up. The warships, though damaged, were not completely defeated. Earth's military might still have the power to strike back. In the silence of deep space, away from the public eye, Earth's fleet was slowly waking up. For decades, they had been hiding in the darkest corners of the galaxy, waiting for a time when they might be needed. Now that time had come. As the old warships came to life, their systems powered up, their engines hummed with energy, and their weapons systems flickered into readiness. The fleet was small compared to the advanced forces of the Galactic Council, but it was not without power. And it wasn't just the ships themselves that would carry Earth's hopes. They carried the spirit of every single person on the planet. Earth had been taken by surprise, but they would not stay down. There was still too much to protect, too many lives at stake, and they would do whatever it took to make sure their world remained safe. General Brooks knew that time was of the essence. The Council's forces were scattered throughout the galaxy, but they were still a powerful threat. They had vast armies, fleets of ships, and advanced technology that Earth had never seen before. But Earth's warships were unique. They had been designed with one thing in mind: survival. And survival was something the Galactic Council had overlooked. Earth's warships weren't just machines. They were a symbol of Earth's strength, determination, and will to fight. While the warships were being prepared, General Brooks and his officers scrambled to gather their remaining forces. Earth was isolated, its communications cut off by the Council's interference, but there were still a few loyal allies scattered across the stars. The commanders sent messages out, hoping that a few of Earth's old friends might answer the call for help. There was no time to waste. Earth's people were looking to their leaders for answers. Fear had gripped the world, and every citizen felt the weight of the Council's betrayal. But in the face of fear, General Brooks saw something else: hope. The people of Earth weren't ready to give up. They had faced hardships before, and they would face this one too. With every passing hour, Earth's warships were being readied for battle. The fleet wasn't just a collection of ships, it was a message. It was a reminder to the Council that Earth wasn't weak, and that the people who had been written off were more resilient than anyone had realized. As the warships began their slow journey into space, the tension on Earth grew. Families gathered to watch the sky, hoping for a glimpse of the ships that might be their last hope. The world held its breath, waiting for the moment when Earth would strike back. But as the warships left Earth's atmosphere, they encountered something unexpected. The Council had anticipated a counterattack, and they had set up a defensive line. The Earth fleet was smaller, but it had the advantage of surprise. The Council's forces were spread thin, and they hadn't expected Earth to strike so quickly. But now, with Earth's warships on the move, the Council was forced to react. They sent a fleet of their own to intercept Earth's ships. The battle was inevitable, but Earth's warships weren't prepared for what lay ahead. The Council's fleet was massive and well-armed. It was clear that Earth's small fleet was going to face a fierce fight, but the people of Earth were used to the odds being stacked against them. They had fought for survival before, and they were ready to do it again. As the fleets clashed in the cold void of space, General Brooks gave the order to attack. The warships fired their weapons, launching powerful blasts at the enemy ships. The sound of battle filled the silence of space. It wasn't the first time Earth had fought to survive, but this time felt different. This time, the stakes were higher. The battle was fierce, but it wasn't over yet. Earth's warships weren't just fighting for victory. They were fighting for their future. The fate of Earth, the lives of their families, and the survival of their planet depended on this fight. As the battle raged on, General Brooks knew that this was just the beginning. The Galactic Council had underestimated Earth's resolve, and now they were going to feel the consequences. The warships of Earth weren't just machines. They were the embodiment of the will of every person on the planet. And that will would not be broken. As the first wave of attacks slowed, both sides were left with the heavy cost of the battle. Ships were damaged, but Earth's warships had proven their strength. The Council's forces, though more advanced, had been pushed back. For the first time in days, Earth's people began to believe. They had struck back. They had shown the Council that they were not to be ignored. But this was only the beginning. The real battle was still ahead, and Earth's forces had to be ready. The Galactic Council had made one mistake. They had forgotten how powerful Earth's people could be when they fought together. And now, they would learn just how costly that mistake would be. With Earth's fleet growing stronger and the hope of victory on the horizon, General Brooks knew that they had one chance to turn the tide. The war was far from over, but Earth's people were ready to show the universe what they were truly capable of. The fight for Earth's future had just begun. The battle between Earth's warships and the Galactic Council had only just begun. After the surprise attack, General Brooks and his officers knew that they had only one chance to turn the tide. The first strike had been successful, but it had been a small victory in a war that was far from over. The Galactic Council's forces were vast, and their advanced technology was unmatched. But Earth had something the Council hadn't counted on: the spirit of its people. Earth's warships had already proven their worth. They weren't the most advanced ships in the galaxy, but they were built with resilience and determination. They had been designed to endure, to outlast, and to fight until the very end. But with each new wave of enemy forces, Earth's fleet was faced with new challenges. The Council had many more ships, and their technology was constantly evolving. They had weapons that Earth's warships hadn't seen before, and they knew how to use them effectively. Despite the overwhelming odds, Earth's fleet kept pushing forward. Every ship, every commander, and every crew member knew what was at stake. They were fighting not just for survival, but for their home, their families, and everything they had ever known. And that was a force the Galactic Council could not easily defeat. As the warships sailed deeper into enemy space, General Brooks and his team began to formulate a new strategy. The Council's forces had been scattered across the galaxy, each fleet operating independently. But now, it was time to bring them all together. Earth needed to strike quickly and decisively, before the Council had a chance to regroup and strengthen their defenses. Brooks called a meeting with his top officers. They gathered around a large table in the war room, staring at a holographic map of the galaxy. The Council's fleets were spread out, but their headquarters remained at the center of their power. It was the heart of their operation, and if they could take it down, the rest of the enemy forces would crumble. "We know the Council's headquarters is heavily fortified," Brooks said, his voice steady. "But we also know that they've underestimated us. They think we'll play by their rules, that we'll fall in line and accept their defeat. But we're not like them. We fight for what's right, and we'll show them that we're not backing down." One of the officers, Commander Lena Alvarez, spoke up. "We've already shown them that Earth's warships can hold their own, but we need more than just strength. We need strategy. If we strike their headquarters, we'll be hitting them where it hurts the most. But it won't be easy. We'll need to outsmart them, not just overpower them." Brooks nodded in agreement. "We have a plan. We'll use our stealth capabilities to get close to their headquarters, undetected. Once we're in range, we'll launch a surprise attack. The key is speed. We strike fast and hard, before they have time to react. The officers around the table nodded. It was a risky plan, but it was their best chance. Earth's warships were small, agile, and built for endurance. They could outmaneuver the larger enemy ships, but only if they acted quickly. The Council's fleets were powerful, but they relied on heavy firepower and slow, methodical tactics. Earth's warships were built for agility and speed, and they would need to use those advantages to their fullest. As the officers made their preparations, Earth's fleet moved into position. The tension was palpable. Every officer, every crew member, knew that this was the moment that would decide everything. If they failed, the Council would crush them. But if they succeeded, they could strike a blow that would change the course of the war. General Brooks stood on the bridge of his flagship, staring out into the vastness of space. The stars twinkled far in the distance, but his mind was focused on the task at hand. He knew that the fate of Earth rested on their shoulders. The warships were ready. The crew was ready. But the question remained, would the Council be prepared for what Earth had in store? The first phase of the plan was simple. Earth's warships would move into the heart of enemy space, where the Council's defenses were weakest. They would sneak past the outer layers of enemy ships, using their stealth systems to avoid detection. If they could get close enough to the headquarters, they could launch a devastating attack that would cripple the Council's command center. As the fleet neared its target, every heart aboard the warships raced with anticipation. The crew worked in silence, their eyes glued to the screens as they monitored the approaching enemy lines. They knew that one mistake could mean the end. They couldn't afford to be spotted. If the Council saw them coming, they would be ready for anything. The hours passed in tense silence, each second feeling like an eternity. But finally, the time came. Earth's warships were within striking distance of the Council's headquarters. They had made it through the outer defenses undetected. Now, it was time to strike. General Brooks gave the signal, and the fleet launched its attack. The warships moved at lightning speed, firing precision shots at the enemy's weak points. The Council's forces were caught completely off guard. The attack was swift, efficient, and devastating. The Council's headquarters, the heart of their operation, was now under attack. Their ships scrambled to defend themselves, but it was too late. Earth's warships had already dealt a heavy blow. For a moment, it seemed like victory was within reach. But as the smoke of battle cleared, Earth's fleet realized that the fight wasn't over. The Council had something else up their sleeves, a counterattack that would challenge everything Earth had just accomplished. But Earth's warships weren't done yet. They had struck a blow, but now they would need to finish what they had started. The battle for the future of Earth was far from over, and the road ahead would be filled with challenges. But one thing was certain: Earth was not going down without a fight. The attack on the Galactic Council's headquarters had shaken the enemy, but it had also made Earth's fleet a target. The Council had not anticipated such a direct strike, and now the remaining forces were in disarray. However, as the dust settled and Earth's warships pulled back to regroup, General Brooks knew that the battle had just begun. The strike had been successful, but it had come at a cost. The Council's forces had retreated to regroup, but they were not easily defeated. The Galactic Council was vast, and its fleets were scattered across the galaxy, each one operating with a different agenda. Earth had dealt a blow to their command center, but now they needed to face the Council's remaining forces that were determined to crush Earth once and for all. In the days that followed, General Brooks and his officers worked tirelessly to rebuild their fleet. They had gained some ground, but the Council's forces were still powerful. The hope of victory was there, but it was fragile. The people of Earth, however, refused to give up. The warships were not just ships. They were symbols of Earth's will to fight, and that will was stronger than ever. As Earth's fleet prepared for the next phase of their campaign, the world below watched with bated breath. The people of Earth were united in their determination. They had been betrayed, But now they had a chance to show the universe what they were capable of. The galaxy had underestimated them before, but Earth was about to prove that they were not a world to be taken lightly. But even as Earth's warships gathered strength, the Galactic Council was making its own plans. The Council's leaders were not blind to the challenge Earth posed. They knew that the Earth fleet was small, but it was resilient. It wasn't the size of the fleet that worried the Council, it was the determination of the people who piloted the ships. And so, the Council decided to launch a new strategy, one that would test Earth's resolve even further. In the dark corners of space, the Council's warships began to converge. They were stronger than before, faster, and better equipped. Earth's fleet, though still intact, was faced with the reality that they were vastly outnumbered. The Council's counteroffensive was coming, and it was going to be like nothing Earth had faced before. As the enemy fleets moved into position, General Brooks and his officers gathered in the war room. The situation was dire. The Council's forces were closing in, and they had no way of knowing how strong the attack would be. Brooks knew that Earth could not face this on its own. They needed to turn the tide, and fast. Commander Alvarez, who had been working tirelessly to find allies, spoke up. "We may be alone in this fight, but that doesn't mean we have no one. There are still some who believe in us. We've proven that Earth can fight, and that's a message that is spread across the galaxy. It's time to reach out to our old allies, no matter how far away they are." Brooks nodded. "You're right. We can't fight this battle alone. We need to call in every favor, every friend we have left. If we can unite enough forces, we might stand a chance against the Council's overwhelming strength." And so, the message went out. Earth's commander sent a call across the stars, reaching out to distant worlds, asking for help. Some of Earth's allies had already fallen to the Council, but there were others, small, lesser-known civilizations, that still remembered the loyalty Earth had shown in the past. They may not have been as powerful as the Council, but together they could make a difference. As the message spread, General Brooks prepared for the worst. Earth's warships had been upgraded, and they were ready for another fight. But the outcome was uncertain. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the stars stretch out before him. The fate of Earth and its people rested on the next steps. He knew the risks, but he also knew that they had no other choice. Earth had to fight for its future. In the weeks that followed, Earth's fleet began to move. Their allies responded, and slowly, a small coalition of worlds formed around Earth. The forces were not as large or as powerful as the Galactic Councils, but they were united by one common goal: survival. As the coalition ships joined Earth's fleet, the balance of power began to shift. But even as this new alliance formed, the Council was not idle. They knew the moment Earth's allies began to gather, they would have to act fast. The Council's leadership had underestimated Earth before, and they were not about to make the same mistake again. Their fleets moved with purpose, ready to crush the growing rebellion. It was a waiting game now. Both sides were preparing for what could be the final confrontation. Earth had allies, Earth had hope, and Earth had the determination to survive. But the Council had numbers and power. As Earth's forces moved into position, the tension in the galaxy was palpable. The final battle was drawing closer, and no one knew what the outcome would be. General Brooks stood once more before his officers, a weary but resolute expression on his face. "We've come this far, but the hardest part is still ahead. The Council will stop at nothing to destroy us. But we have something they don't. We have each other. We have the will to fight for what's right, and we're not going to stop until we've won." The officers nodded in agreement. Earth's fleet was small, but its strength was in its unity. And together, they would face the coming storm. The galaxy had forgotten the power of Earth, but soon they would remember. The stage was set for the final battle. The forces of Earth and its allies were ready, and the Council's fleets were prepared to crush them. The question now was simple: who would emerge victorious in the fight for the future of the galaxy? Earth's fate, and the fate of every world that had joined their cause, rested on the outcome of what was to come. The final confrontation between Earth's coalition and the Galactic Council had arrived. The battlefield was set, and the galaxy seemed to hold its breath as both sides prepared for what could be the most decisive moment in the history of their conflict. Earth's fleet had come a long way from its humble beginnings, and now it was a force to be reckoned with. But the Council's power was still overwhelming. Both sides knew that the stakes were higher than ever before. General Brooks stood at the center of his war room, his eyes focused on the map of the galaxy that stretched across the massive display in front of him. His officers were gathered around him, their faces a mixture of determination and concern. It was impossible to ignore the magnitude of what they were about to face. This wasn't just a fight for Earth anymore. It was a fight for the future of every world that had joined their cause. The Council's fleets were immense, stretching out across vast expanses of space. Earth's coalition was smaller, but it had the advantage of unity. They were fighting for their survival, and that gave them strength that no fleet could measure. The officers in the room knew the odds were stacked against them, but they also knew one thing: they would not go down without a fight. As the final battle loomed closer, General Brooks addressed his crew. "We fought through every challenge, every obstacle, but now we face the biggest test of all. The Council has shown us time and again that they believe they are unstoppable, but they've never faced us. We've gathered the best of what's left of the galaxy. Now it's time to show the Council that they're not the only ones who can control the stars." His words were met with a quiet but powerful response. The officers knew they had a choice. They could stand and fight for what was right, or they could surrender and watch their world and their people fall into the hands of the Council. There was no choice. The resolve to fight was clear in every face around the table. They would not let Earth fall. They would stand together, and they would make their stand. The fleet began to move into position, navigating through the stars with careful precision. Earth's warships were small compared to the Council's massive fleets, but they had a distinct advantage in agility. With their speed and maneuverability, they could avoid the Council's heavy fire and find opportunities to strike where it hurt most. But it was a risky strategy. One wrong move, one slip, and the entire fleet could be wiped out in a matter of moments. As the coalition ships moved through space, they communicated in silence. Every ship knew its role. Each vessel was a crucial part of the larger whole. There was no room for mistakes. The fate of Earth and its allies rested on the shoulders of every officer, every crew member, and every pilot who had sworn to protect their world. In the heart of Earth's fleet, General Brooks sat in his command chair, gazing out at the stars. His mind was focused, but his heart was heavy. He had never doubted Earth's ability to fight back, but this moment felt different. This was the moment that would determine everything. Victory or defeat, the war would be decided now. The Council's forces were closing in on Earth's position. They had already begun to deploy their ships into formation, a wall of ships designed to overwhelm and destroy anything in their path. It was a battle of attrition, a test of who could outlast the other. The Council was confident that their superior numbers would bring them victory, but they had underestimated one crucial thing: Earth's will to survive. As the final preparations were made, General Brooks spoke again, this time to his fleet as a whole. "This is our moment. We've come so far, and we've already shown the galaxy what Earth is capable of. No matter what happens in the next hours, we will leave everything we have on this battlefield. This is our fight, and we fight for each other." The voice of Earth's leaders echoed through the ships, lifting the spirits of the crew. The crew members, some of them veterans of previous skirmishes and others new to the fight, felt the weight of their leaders' words. They weren't just fighting for survival, they were fighting for a future where they could stand tall, free from the oppressive rule of the Galactic Council. The battle began. Earth's coalition engaged the first wave of the Council's ships, moving swiftly and precisely. The warships of Earth darted through space, firing strategically, aiming to take out key targets without being overwhelmed. The Council's ships fired back with fierce precision, their weapons designed to crush anything in their path. General Brooks and his officers knew the battle was far from over. The Council's fleets were relentless, and despite the strategy they had put into place, they were still outnumbered. But Earth's ships had something the Council's forces lacked. They fought with everything they had, every ounce of strength, every last bit of determination. They weren't just fighting to win. They were fighting for their future, for their home. Hours passed, and the battle raged on. The stars were filled with the sounds of energy blasts and the hum of engines as Earth's warships dodged and weaved through enemy fire. The pressure on the crew was intense, but the resolve to survive was stronger. Earth's fleet had proven itself capable in the past, but now they were proving something else. They had the heart to keep fighting, even when the odds were stacked against them. General Brooks' voice rang out over the fleet's communications once more, this time with an urgent message. "We're not done yet. Stay focused. We've already done more than anyone thought possible, but we still have a long way to go. We must stay united, keep pushing forward." As the final stages of the battle unfolded, the tide began to shift. Earth's warships, despite being outnumbered, had gained momentum. The Council's ships were being pushed back, their fleets slowly starting to fracture under the weight of Earth's attacks. It wasn't over yet, but Earth's fleet had proven something important. They were far from defeated. In the midst of the chaos, General Brooks could see it. There was a crack in the Council's forces. The unity that had held them together was starting to splinter. The victory was not in sight, but the realization that Earth had forced the Council into retreat was enough to stir hope in the hearts of every officer, every crew member, and every soldier on the front lines. The battle was far from over, but Earth had already shown that no matter how powerful the enemy, the spirit of its people would never be broken. The fight for Earth's future had reached a crucial moment, and every ship, every pilot, every person involved was determined to see it through to the end. The final battle had taken its toll on both sides, but the resolve of Earth's fleet remained unbroken. As the skirmishes continued, General Brooks could see a shift in the atmosphere. The Council's forces were faltering, their movements more erratic, their coordination less precise. Earth had pushed them to the brink, and now it was time for the decisive blow. Brooks knew that this could be their only chance to end the war, to secure the future for Earth and its allies. But it was not going to be easy. The Council would not give up without a fight. The fleet moved into position for the final confrontation. There was no turning back now. The battle was far from over, but the momentum had shifted. Earth's coalition was now fighting with the full force of their united determination, and that unity was beginning to show. Every ship, every officer, and every crew member understood the significance of this moment. They were fighting not just for victory, but for the preservation of their world and everything they held dear. General Brooks stood on the command deck of his flagship, his eyes scanning the stars ahead. The battle was drawing closer to its climax. He knew that the Council, though massive and powerful, had underestimated the strength of Earth's spirit. They had thought Earth would fold, that humanity would be crushed under the weight of the galactic giants. But the humans of Earth had fought back, and now the galaxy would see their true strength. "We've made it this far," Brooks said, his voice steady, but filled with the weight of the responsibility he carried. "We've proven that Earth is not to be underestimated, but we cannot afford to be complacent. This is the moment. We need to finish this." Around him, the officers nodded in agreement. They knew what was at stake. If they succeeded, they would change the course of the galaxy forever. If they failed, it would mean the end of Earth's fight for survival. But none of them were willing to give up. The spirit of their people, their will to survive, burned bright. The time for hesitation was over. As the coalition ships moved into the final position, Earth's fleet prepared to strike. They had learned from the previous battles, adapting their tactics and improving their strategies. Each ship was a vital part of the whole, working in unison to create an unstoppable force. They had faced impossible odds before, and now they were about to face their biggest challenge yet. But the one thing they had that the Council did not was the fierce determination to fight for what was right. In the vastness of space, Earth's fleet launched its final assault. Their ships, once outmatched in size and power, now moved with confidence. They had perfected the art of maneuvering through enemy lines, striking quickly and retreating before the Council could react. This time, however, they had something more, an overwhelming sense of unity. Earth's people were not just fighting for themselves. They were fighting for the future of the entire galaxy. The Council's forces scrambled to regroup. They had underestimated the strength of Earth's coalition, but now they had no choice but to respond. The battle raged on, with both sides pushing to outlast the other. Earth's ships darted in and out of the Council's formations, striking at key points with precision. The Council tried to retaliate, but their ships were no match for Earth's agility and determination. As the conflict intensified, the atmosphere on the command deck grew tense. Brooks could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on him. The outcome of the war would be decided here and now. The fate of Earth, its people, and its newfound allies rested on their shoulders. There could be no hesitation, no second chances. This was it. Despite the pressure, Brooks remained calm. He had led his people through countless challenges before, and he wasn't about to falter now. His crew was doing their part, following every command with unwavering focus. They were fighting not just for survival, but for something far greater, the chance to live in a galaxy where Earth could stand on equal footing with the other worlds, where humanity could shape its own destiny. The battle reached its peak as Earth's warships closed in on the heart of the Council's fleet. Their precision strikes had taken out critical communication hubs and disrupted the Council's command systems. The Council's once imposing fleet was starting to fragment. The unity that had once been their strength was now their weakness. The Council was scrambling to regain control, but Earth's ships were relentless, targeting every weakness with perfect coordination. General Brooks knew that the Council would not give up easily, but he also knew they had no choice now. The Council had overestimated their ability to control the galaxy. They had assumed that they could bend Earth to their will, but they had underestimated the power of human determination. As the enemy forces broke apart, the Council began to realize that they had lost their advantage. Earth's coalition had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with. The tides of the war had changed forever. As the final phase of the battle unfolded, Earth's fleet continued to push forward, steadily dismantling the remaining Council ships. The war was far from over, but the victory was within reach. Earth's coalition had succeeded in doing the impossible. They had fought back against an empire that seemed unbeatable and had taken the first steps towards securing their future in the galaxy. With the Council's remaining ships retreating, General Brooks stood at the command center of his flagship, looking out at the aftermath. The battle had been hard fought, but it was not the end of the story. This victory was only the beginning of Earth's journey. The galaxy would remember this day, the day when Earth showed that it would never back down, no matter the odds. The war was not yet won, but Earth had taken a giant step toward ensuring its future. The battle was over, but the story of humanity's rise was just beginning. The Council's power had been shaken, and Earth's place in the galaxy had been secured. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity had proven that it was not a species to be ignored.